What is going on, everyone? It's Ultimate Spy 53 here, and welcome to Tales from the TARDIS, Episode 3. In today's podcast, I would like to talk about all the companions that have travelled with the Doctor from the start of the show in 1963 to the most recent 10th series in the revival era in 2017. Starting off with the first Doctor's companions, we are introduced to school teachers Ian Chesterton and Barbara Wright of the Coal Hill School in 1963. This first serial, most notable for the title arc and Another Child, shows that Susan Foreman, a teenage girl, is their most unusual student, and they find themselves uncovering her home with the First Doctor inside the TARDIS. Although it's implied that Susan is the Doctor's granddaughter, I've never quite understood why her last name is Foreman. In fact, I don't even know the history of the Doctor's family aside from Susan, being an avid Doctor Who fan as myself. The reason why I bring this up is because the 11th Doctor later brings Susan up in the Series 7 episode, The Rings of Arcaton, where he tells Clara that he came here a long time ago with his granddaughter. Eventually, Susan left the TARDIS crew to be married off to a freedom fighter. I don't know which serial this happened, but she was then replaced with another young female character, Vicky. In a similar fashion, when Ian and Barbara left in a later serial, where they returned to Earth only having been gone a whole 2 years, they were both replaced by astronaut Stephen Taylor. In the 1965 serial, The Mythmakers, set in ancient Troy, Vicky was renamed Cursidia by Trojan king Priam. She falls in love with his son, Troilus, and decides to leave the Doctor's side to begin a new life with him. That very same serial we are introduced to the next companion, Katerina. She was unfortunately a very brief companion, as she was killed off in the following serial. In a similar fashion, although only one serial, the next brief companion, Sarah Kingdom, appears in the mostly missing serial, The Daleks' Master Plan, but unlike Katerina, who appeared in 2 serials, only makes an appearance in that serial. The next companion we are introduced to is Doto Chaplet, an Earth teenager from 1966. She appears at the end of the completely missing 1966 serial, The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve, and is last seen in The War Machines, where newcomers Ben and Polly tell the Doctor she is staying in the 20th century, thus ending the character's time on Doctor Who. Polly, one of the final First Doctor companions, makes her first appearance alongside other First Doctor companion, Ben, in the 1966 serial, The War Machines. In the serial The Highlanders, the TARDIS crew of Ben and Polly and the Doctor meet the first Scottish companion, Jamie McCrimmon, although this serial is also completely missing from the BBC archives. Ben and Polly say their goodbyes to the Doctor and Jamie in the serial The Faceless Ones. The next companion, and my personal favourite of the 60s era of Doctor Who, is the beautiful Victoria Waterfield from 1866 London. She first appears in the 1967 serial The Evil of the Daleks. She is the daughter of scientist Edward Waterfield. At the conclusion of the serial, Edward is killed, saving the Doctor's life, and asks the Doctor to take care of Victoria, thus becoming part of the TARDIS crew. At the end of this serial, Fury from the Deep, which is yet another serial that is completely missing, Victoria finds herself unsuited for more travel with the Doctor and Jamie, and decides to leave them, settling with a family named Harris in the 20th century. The final addition to the second Doctor era of Doctor Who came when Zoe Harriet first appears in the 1968 serial The Wheel in Space, where she is a librarian, and after defeating the Cybermen, stows away in the TARDIS and begins her travels with the Doctor and Jamie until the second Doctor's final serial in The War Games, where the Time Lords take away both Jamie and Zoe before forcing a change of appearance upon the Doctor, becoming his third incarnation. The first true companion of the Third Doctor appeared in the form of Jo Grant. The reason why she is the first true companion is simply because the previous assistant of the Doctor, Liz Shaw, doesn't really count as a companion, as she never actually traveled with the Doctor, although there wouldn't be any way she could, as the Doctor didn't have access to the TARDIS, aside from the console, so I'm skipping to Jo. I honestly really like Jo. She first appears in the 1971 serial Terror of the Autons, where she is sent in by a close friend to the Doctor, the Brigadier, who is dismayed at first to find that she is not a scientist, but accepts her because she doesn't have the heart to tell otherwise. I honestly prefer her as a third Doctor companion than Sarah Jane, as she is devoted to him and refuses to leave his side even where mortal danger is involved. Plus, she does help the Doctor fight the Master when he's involved. Jo's exit occurs in the 1973 serial The Green Death, where Jo falls in love with Professor Clifford Jones and at the conclusion decides to marry him and go to the Amazon with him. We later see Jo reunited with the 11th Doctor in the Sarah Jane Adventures episode Death of the Doctor, where she also meets Sarah Jane for the first time. Sarah Jane is introduced in the third Doctor serial, The Time Warrior, as a journalist who sneaks aboard the TARDIS and becomes caught in a battle against the Sontarans. Companion Harry Sullivan later joins the Doctor and Sarah Jane in the fourth Doctor's first serial, Robot, where Harry is introduced as Unit's medical officer and ends up traveling with the Doctor and Sarah. In the 1975 serial Terror of the Zygons, Harry leaves the TARDIS after the invasion where he is held prisoner and used as a template for the shape-shifting. In the 1976 serial The Hand of Fear, Sarah Jane departs after the Doctor receives a summons to Gallifrey. The next companion to join the Doctor in the TARDIS on his adventures was Leela, a warrior from the Zaveteam tribe in the 1977 serial The Fates of Evil. In the 1978 serial The Rebus Operation, the first serial in a season-long arc known as The Key to Time of the Fourth Doctor's era, we are introduced to our newest companion, the first Time Lady in Doctor Who. Although Susan could technically count as a Time Lady as well, but she was never given the official name until after her departure. Romana, short for Romana Advoratrelunda, jumble of words there, is also the first companion and character to regenerate in Doctor Who aside from the Doctor himself. Here, she is portrayed by the beautiful Mary Tam. Unfortunately, the character, for reasons unknown, decides to regenerate into the new Romana, Romana 2, in the 1979 serial Destiny of the Daleks, this time portrayed by the beautiful Lalla Ward. In the 1980 serial Fell Circle, we are introduced to Adric, the newest companion who stows away aboard the TARDIS at the end of the serial, who is the first non-human companion to the Doctor, although, like the Doctor, he also looks human, as he was born on the planet Ozarius. Romana 2's exit comes in the form of the 1981 serial Warrior's Gate, where she decides to stay with the Therial race, and upon this decision marks K9's exit as well, as the Doctor gives Romana 2 K9 to look after, although K9 would later appear in the revival series as a new version of itself. The next addition to the TARDIS crew came when Nyssa was introduced in the 1981 serial Keeper of the Traken, who is the daughter of the Keeper himself. She appears next as companion in the 1981 serial Logo Plus, Tom Baker's final appearance as the Fourth Doctor, although he will later appear 12 years later in the 30th anniversary charity special for Doctor Who, Dimensions in Time, 1993, after declining to return to the role in the 20th anniversary special only 2 years after his original departure. The final addition to the TARDIS crew, as this would be the largest number of companions the Doctor would ever have since the 60s with Ian, Barbara, and Susan, was Australian Airlines stewardess Tegan. En route to Heathrow Airport to start a new job as a stewardess with Air Australia, her Aunt Vanessa's vehicle in which she is riding suffers a flat tire. Tegan enters a roadside police box to seek help, not knowing that this is actually the Doctor's TARDIS in disguise. The next companion exit comes when Adric sacrifices himself at the end of the 1982 serial Earthshock. This would be the first time a companion would be killed off since the 60s era of Doctor Who. We are introduced to the next companion through the 1983 serial Modern Undead, where Turlo, an alien from the Triad species posing as a human student, is offered a passage off Earth by the Black Guardian if he is to kill the Doctor. He ultimately does not, and by the end of the serial, requests to join the TARDIS crew, which the Doctor agrees to. The next companion to leave the TARDIS crew is Nyssa in the 1983 serial Terminus, where she decides her scientific skills are more needed on Terminus, the planet the serial is set on, and decides to stay behind. In the 1984 serial Planet of Fire, we see two new things happen. One, Turlo, the alien companion to the Fifth Doctor, exits after deciding to return to Trion, and two, the gorgeous Peri is introduced. She is also the first American companion, although played by British actress Nicola Bryant. Peri is sadly killed off in the 1986 serial Mind Warp, part of the season-long story arc of the Sixth Doctor's era, Trial of a Time Lord. The next companion to be introduced in the Sixth Doctor's era is companion Mel Bush, a girl with orange curly hair who is shown by a matrix projection of future events, in this case an adventure with his next companion that has yet to happen. He then leaves with Mel after the events of Trial of a Time Lord for future adventures. The final companion exchange of the classic era of Doctor Who happens in the 1987 serial Dragonfire, when Mel, who departs in the story, meets Ace, a teenager from the 80s who turns out to have actually been propelled forward in time by a mysterious time storm that appeared in her bedroom while she was trying to experiment with Nitro 9, an explosive of her own creation. At the end of the serial, Ace ends up traveling with the Doctor and his newest companion for the rest of the classic era. It is unknown where Ace ended up after the final serial of the classic era of Doctor Who, Survival, but she did come back in the 1993 charity special, Dimensions of Time. Like I said before, the show's 30th anniversary special, bringing back a lot of classic characters as far back as the first Doctor's era. The next one-time appearance of a companion was in the 1996 TV movie of Doctor Who, where Grace Holloway, a cardiologist from San Francisco in 1999, accidentally kills the Seventh Doctor after not realizing his alien physiology, and assists him after his regeneration into the Eighth Doctor in defeating the Master, who has found a new body. The next companion introduced alongside the Ninth Doctor in the revival series of Doctor Who is Rose Tyler, one of my all-time favorite companions. He is the actress who played her, Billie Piper, at Emerald City Comic Con back in March, with me. The companion is introduced in the first episode of the first series of the new series of Doctor Who, as an attractive young teenager from modern-day London, who meets the Doctor now in his 9th incarnation, after regenerating from the War Doctor, who is investigating mysterious mannequins who come to life, known as Autons, not seen since the classic era. After Rose and the Doctor defeat the Nest consciousness at the end of the episode, the Doctor offers to take her aboard the TARDIS for new ventures. Rose is also the longest-running companion of the Russell T Davies era of Doctor Who, having travelled with 2 Doctors over the course of 2 series. And during Series 2, Rose's boyfriend, a black Londoner named Mickey Smith, ends up travelling with the Doctor and Rose for a few adventures, until he ultimately decides to stay behind at least until the series finale on the Parallel Earth, in the 2-part episode Rise of the Cybermen and The Age of Steel. In Series 1, we also see the addition of first American companion since the classic era, and Captain Jack Harkness, a time traveler and former conman from the 51st century. Rose's heartbreakingly sad departure happened when the 10th Doctor lost her after defeating the Cybermen and Daleks in Doomsday, where she accidentally gets sent into the parallel universe, where a parallel version of her dad, Peter, is still alive. At the end of the episode, the Doctor meets future companion Donna Noble, a young woman from Chiswick, London, working as a temp worker about to get married, when the TARDIS accidentally locks onto her thanks to a signal made by the Ragnos, the monster of the Christmas special, the runaway bride. At the end of the special, she is asked by the Doctor to travel with him, to which she declines. The next companion we are introduced to is Martha Jones, the first black female companion, who unfortunately only appeared as a one-off companion in Series 3, although she would later guest star in Series 4. She is introduced in the Series 3 opener, Smith and Jones, as a medical student who decides to travel with the Doctor for Series 3 after an incident where the hospital she works for gets transported to the moon, where the alien Jejun are searching for the alien threat who is in disguise as an old woman. In the trilogy finale of Series 3, Captain Jack, who now has his own spin-off show, Torchwood, a much darker series set in the universe, has been operating in his own underground base with a team of friends, including a young policewoman from South Wales who is played by the same actress who played Gwyneth, a servant girl featured in Series 1, Episode 3 of Doctor Who, set in 1869. Jack manages to track down the Doctor and Martha via the time vortex manipulator, traveling all across the universe and time just to find when the TARDIS would land in modern-day London, which is where Torchwood is operating. After reuniting with the Doctor and being introduced to Martha, as Jack only remembers Rose, as well as when the Doctor was still in his ninth incarnation, the trio then go on to fight the new incarnation of the Master as the villain of the Series 3 trilogy finale, who managed to come back, this time played by Derek Jacobi and then by John Sim, with the first regeneration of the Master. As before, the Master would just steal the body of whomever he wanted to. At the end of Series 3, Martha leaves the Doctor, having had enough of time travel after having her family be at risk from the Master, but tells the Doctor she will see him again, and that she does in 3 episodes of Series 4, 2 of which is a 2-part story featuring the return of the classic monster, the Centaurans, and then again forcibly taken aboard the TARDIS into the next episode, The Doctor's Daughter. Donna reunites with the Doctor in the Series 4 opener, Partners in Crime, where unknowingly the Doctor almost runs into her during an investigation about a strange weight loss pill that causes tiny creatures known as the adipose to burst from the user, killing them in the process as they are the user's fat. The Doctor and Donna eventually find each other when they are in the same building, both trying to eavesdrop on the villain of the episode, Miss Foster, an alien who resembles a middle-aged blonde woman. At the end of the episode, we not only see a setup for the Series 4 finale with a cameo by Rose, who managed to get back to the real world from the parallel world, but also Donna officially joins the Doctor on his travels for the series after telling her he needs a mate, a rather funny scene. Donna is forced to leave the TARDIS at the end of the Series 4 finale, Journey's End, where all the previous companions who have travelled with the Doctor in the modern era, including Sarah Jane, even though she's a classic character, but was popular enough to get her own spin-off show, The Sarah Jane Adventures, come back to help the Doctor save the universe from the threat of Davros, who is resurrected from the classic era. And because Donna's mind is part Time Lord, her human mind wouldn't be able to handle the knowledge, so the Doctor has no choice but to wipe her memory of him. Otherwise, if she did remember him, because the only person who could do that is the Master, her mind would burn and she would die. A truly sad scene in the episode, if I don't say so myself. Donna would later reappear in the 10th Doctor's final 2-part story, The End of Time, where she lives life as if she had never met the Doctor. And like I said before, the Master who returns in the story manages to get her to remember, but the Doctor manages to stop him so she wouldn't die, only burn a little, which is what I believe happened, if I remember correctly. Before moving on to the first companion of the Stephen Moffat era of Doctor Who, we get one last chance to see all the companions the Doctor ever travelled with in the modern era, including a married Mickey and Martha, Captain Jack, who meets Alonso for the first time, whom the Doctor had met in Voyage of the Damned, and telling himself it would be brilliant to meet someone called Alonso so he could say Alonso, which happened in the episode. Then to Sarah Jane and her adopted son Luke, who nearly gets run over by a car, but thanks to the Doctor, is saved. Then to Donna's official wedding, where she finally gets married. And finally to the day the Doctor meets Rose for the first time, but in this case, she would have met him in his 9th incarnation. And moving on to the Stephen Moffat era with the 11th Doctor, we first encounter young, adorable Amelia Pond when the Doctor crashes in the backyard of her home in Scotland. After investigating the crack in her wall, the Doctor attempts to promise Amelia he would be back in 5 minutes, but instead it's 12 years later, where he encounters a now adult Amelia, going by Amy, who is now a beautiful young woman who hardly remembers the Doctor, as he'd been gone so long. After helping the Doctor battle the Atraxi, the monster of the episode, she agrees to travel with the Doctor on new adventures. Amy's boyfriend, Rory, comes with the Doctor and Amy to 1580s Venice to strengthen the couple's relationship, and at the end of the episode, officially joins them in their travels. In the episode Cold Blood, being the middle of the series, Rory is shot by a Silurian at the end of the episode, but comes back as a Roman soldier in the pet door opens, but is revealed to be an Auton, as one of the monsters of the Doctor's past, with Rory's memories. Rory is later restored in the follow-up episode, The Big Bang, although still possessing the memories of his Auton counterpart, and both Amy and Rory continue to travel with the Doctor, who allows them to have a honeymoon, causing their absence for a majority of the Christmas special, A Christmas Carol. After many adventures, the Doctor sadly loses Amy and Rory to the Weeping Angels, who send them back in time at the end of the first part of Series 7, The Angels Take Manhattan. After this, the Doctor then hides away in the sky of Victorian London, changing his clothes and the interior of the TARDIS to sulk over his loss. Here, he meets the newest companion, Clara Oswald. Clara becomes the first mysterious companion in the series, and my personal favorite of the 11th Doctor companions out of Amy, Rory, and her, of course. We first see a version of Clara in the Series 7 opener, Asylum of the Daleks, known as Oswald Oswald, a beautiful young woman on the starship Alaska, who has been converted into a Dalek from a human. The Doctor encounters the second version of Clara, now named Clara Oswald, who turns out to be the same woman from different eras, future, past, and present. This version works in Victorian London as a barmaid and governess. She encounters the Doctor and the TARDIS, claiming it to be similar on the outside, a first for a companion's reaction to the interior. At the end of the special, this version of Clara falls to her death from the top of the stairwell winding down to the bottom from where the TARDIS stands. The Doctor then travels to modern-day London, where he encounters the third and final version of Clara, who, to the Doctor's surprise, doesn't even know him because of the era the Doctor's meeting her in. Despite being a different version of the character, she's still the same beautiful young woman that we know her as in both previous eras. What can I say? She's an attractive character. She's also one of two companions to cut her hair during her second series of Doctor Who. The first being Rose, who appeared with shorter hair in Series 2, and might I mention, a lot of eyeliner. Well, as it turns out, the BBC is known for casting young, attractive women for their female companions. It's a fact, and I couldn't actually ask Billie Piper in person at the convention I went to why Rose's hair was shorter in Series 2, because all it was a photo op. I even missed my chance to ask the question both at the panel and at the signing. I guess it was just the makeup artist's idea to style her hair differently, just like they did for Jenna Coleman in Series 9. I don't know. After an adventure in Series 7 Part 2 featuring Wi-Fi that sucks you in, the third version of Clara starts to travel with the Doctor all the way up to her demise at the hand of the Raven in the Series 9 episode Face the Raven, where she dies, much to the 12th Doctor's sadness. And to honor her death, the Doctor dons the red variant of the Crumbly coat for his adventures for the rest of Series 9, until he manages to pull Clara out of her time stream right before she dies in the Series 9 finale, Hellbent, but unfortunately has to put it back so the time stream can continue to flow, as he simply can't rewrite time. And finally, the final companions for the 12th Doctor come in the form of the alien Nardole, first introduced in the 2015 Christmas special, The Husbands of River Song, as a companion to River Song, a fan favorite character not seen since Series 6, although she guest starred in the Series 7 finale, The Name of the Doctor. Nardole returns in the following special, The Return of Dr. Mysterio, as the Doctor's companion, which aired a whole year after the last special due to Doctor Who being put on hold for the year so that Stephen Moffat could work on Sherlock, another BBC series he writes, causing the only Doctor Who episodes to air in 2016 be the Christmas special, and the episode of Class featuring the Doctor, which was the pilot. I myself was very unhappy with this, as Sherlock isn't as popular as Doctor Who, although both shows are excellent. From my perspective, Nardole isn't so much a regular companion as River Song isn't one to the Doctor. They work together, but acts more like River in that way, and it isn't until the Series 10 opener, the pilot, that we are introduced to new official 12th Doctor companion Bill Potts, a young black girl with afro hair, although she does have a much lighter skin tone than Martha, another black companion to the Doctor, which is interesting, but I still grew to like her a lot. In many episodes, her hair is either drawn back in a ponytail on the top of her head, or is in an entirely different style, which I really liked. Bill is shot through the heart in the series 10 finale two-parter Well Enough in Time, and the Doctor falls. After the TARDIS crew reacts to an alien distress call aboard a spaceship, and is carried away by menacing scientists to a lower deck where time moves much more rapidly. Bill's life is saved, but 10 years have passed before the Doctor is able to reach her, by which time she is converted into a Cyberman. When the Cybermen are defeated, Bill is entirely alone, but then rescued by Heather, her lover. Heather then offers Bill the choice of traveling space and time together, or being returned to her life on Earth as a normal human again. She accepts and bids the Doctor farewell. Bill makes a cameo appearance in the 12th Doctor's final story, Twice Upon a Time, as a living avatar of Bill's memories. And that is the history of the Doctor's companions. We have yet to see what the new companions for the 13th Doctor will be like, so I can't say anything really until the new series airs in October, but until then I'll just leave it at that. If I were to say my top 5 companions of both eras, even if I've only seen a couple of them for a couple of minutes, I would have to say Rose, Clara, Victoria, Perry, and Jo, until I get to the 2 of the new companions, which will take me a while. I can't say much more than that, and those are just the most attractive female companions of the show, especially if I'm doing a top 5. But if I were to say honorable mentions, I go with Polly from the 20 seconds I've seen her, and then Amy and Rory. But that's just my opinion. If you have a different opinion about your top 5 companions, then let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. And in the meantime, thank you guys so much for watching and or listening to this episode of Tales from the TARDIS. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really do appreciate the support. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe for future episodes of this podcast and other series that I do, as well as other great content. And I'll be back next time with another episode. Alright? See ya.